calling the Westminster Neighborhood Hotel and Pier. This is Kathy. How can I help you?
It's like a great answer.
Yes, we're calling for Dick Gregerson.
Room 150.
Room for you, ma'am.
Okay.
Moment.
Hello?
Hi, Dick.
Yeah.
Yep, this is Pauline. We're about ready to start.
Okay. Hey, is this broadcast live?
Yes.
Yes.
It is, okay.
We're ready to go.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Okay, any public input today? Going once, going twice? Three times? Okay. First, old business. A, discussion of jurisdiction of the Sioux Falls Board of Ethics for hearing complaints on possible election ordinance violations by either all candidates for city office or any current official's conduct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since our meeting, I had an opportunity to look further at this issue. Just for the public's benefit, there are 41 of the 50 states have ethics commissions established by their state statute. And I've been looking heavily at those other states' legislation, frankly, so I don't have to invent the wheel again. But we've been looking at those extensively in terms of to revise the city's ethics ordinances. And I looked in particular over the last couple days whether just current elected officials were subject to those ethics commissions' jurisdiction or whether it was also candidates as a whole. I believe it was 28 of the 41 states had candidates as well as elected officials. So based on that, I would recommend that the board, this board, choose that jurisdiction handle all candidates, whether they're a current elected official or someone running for office. It sounds like that would be the way to go, and about 3/4 of the states are doing that exact thing. So that would be my recommendation.
Still there? Dick?
Yes.
Are you still there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the fifth time a charter review the City of Sioux Falls is personally made amendments to this.
Dick?
Yes.
Okay. Did you turn off the background?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Should we take a vote on this, or just go into some discussion?
Madam Chair, I would suggest some discussion first, and there's 3 counselors certainly here as well. Gauge their input, and if anyone else from the public would have any input on the scope of jurisdiction for the Board of Ethics.
Greg, did you? Councilor Jameson?
Thank you. Just a nod of the head, yes. Very good.
Okay.
I agree, and I think that makes sense. And Dave has done some good research there, and I concur. So I don't think anybody probably has a problem with it as far as counselors go.
Okay.
So.
Ms. Knudsen?
After any other public input, which I'm very anxious to hear from the other people in the audience too, is that then at that point could, for the people that might have just tuned in today to our Charter Revision Commission meeting, who maybe haven't been following us along the way, could we just have a brief explanation again from the city attorney on what we're really talking about before we vote?
Madam Chair, I'll do it now if you like, just for
Yes,
public
that'd be
benefit. The commission is looking at whether to expand the Sioux Falls Board of Ethics jurisdiction to hear any complaints regarding the election ordinances of the city for either current elected officials or any candidates whatsoever, be it either a current office holder or someone running for office. And so that's kind of what we're discussing right now. And one of the proposals for discussion of a possible ballot to be presented to the voters in April today is how to phrase that language and to have exactly how much jurisdiction to grant to the Board of Ethics.
Should we, any public input on this?
Yes, I'm I.L. Weiderman from Sioux Falls, and there was a situation in the last election. I'd like to know, are you fixing this so it possibly doesn't have to go in front of the Attorney General and appear through his office? Dave is familiar with the situation I'm talking about, where he couldn't handle it, and they said they couldn't handle it, so nobody actually handled it. That would be my...
Okay. Dave?
Mr. Weiderman, what this would do is it would allow an independent citizen board, which is the Board of Ethics, to handle any issues. As you're aware, right now, the ordinances read in Chapter 14 that the city attorney is supposed to prosecute any possible violations. This removes that authority from my office, places it with an independent citizen board, that is the Board of Ethics. So in the future, it would be any candidate or any election ordinance issues would be with the Board of Ethics.
Sue Roust, interim city clerk. Dave, it might be helpful to the commission if you explain to them the other areas in which you're trying to make this change. The agenda item we have on next Monday night that would also move complaints related to campaign finance and campaign finance reports to the ethics board from the city attorney is one of the other areas, and there's another ordinance change you have. So really this is kind of a concerted effort to, in coordination, change several items to have the ethics board focus on them rather than the city attorney.
Thank you, Clerk Roust. Yes, indeed. And what we're also doing is looking at the fraud control policy, which is, I believe, what Ms. Roust was referring to, and having those go to the Board of Ethics as well. This has gone through the Board of Ethics, and they have unanimously recommended that the Council and the Charter Revision Commission make these changes. And also it went through the last Public Services Committee of the Council, and I believe their vote was also 4-0 of the 4 members of that committee to have these changes made as well. So I think it is very safe to say it has widespread support.
Okay. Any other input? Ms. Knudsen?
Just a question for city attorney, unless there is other input. City attorney, would you please just remind the listening public, I think all the people here are very familiar with our current Board of Ethics, but just would you just tell the world a little bit about the fact that we actually do have a Board of Ethics right now, and the composition, and how many are on it and so forth?
If I may.
Yes.
The Board of Ethics is comprised of 5 citizens that are appointed by the mayor, and then under the advice and consent of the city council are appointed. The 5-member board reviews possible complaints and violations under Chapter 12.5 of the ordinances of Sioux Falls, which are the ethics ordinances. And they look in particular at conflict of interest type violations. And what this would do, it would expand that jurisdiction to include election ordinance issues. And that way, I think the goal is to place the responsibility for policing that type of conduct in an independent citizen board. What the ethics board does is it serves as an advisory board where it makes a recommendation to the city council if it's involving a city council member. So if you had a council member that was running for re-election, for instance, and there was a complaint about their election conduct, it would, if this were to eventually pass in the next election, it would be such that that council member's conduct that's subject to the complaint would go to the Board of Ethics rather than be policed by the city attorney. And the issue was, as I've stated in other public meetings, is that as an attorney for the city is my client, but in real essence, my client, what the law calls my client constituents, are the 9 elected officials. That is the mayor and the other city councilors. So that's what this is trying to place that away from and place it in an independent citizen board.
Okay, is there any other input? Should we address this when we come to B, the consideration of the ballot? Okay. Going on to B. Dave, could you address Charter Amendment A?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is a draft of an official ballot that I drafted at your direction from last Friday. I stayed Friday night and I tried to do my best to kind of place what the intentions were into an official ballot because we needed to get this posted on the city website in advance for the public so they would know what you were considering for today. And I want to thank Interim Clerk Sue Roust, who did review this for form. And I want to thank her for her assistance. But the substance of it, I'll take credit or blame for, as the case may be. Essentially, on Amendment A, under this ballot, it would provide that Section 1.01 of the Charter be amended so that all the powers of the city are delineated or spelled out. And it's taken largely from the city charter from Lincoln, Nebraska. And it also notes that the city's powers are to be liberally construed, and that's taken almost verbatim from the state constitution. It's a specific provision in our state constitution. I would view this as pretty much a housekeeping matter, just bringing in what the state constitution has for language, setting out this is what the powers of the city are. And for those who weren't here a couple meetings ago, our charter was based off a model city charter from the National Civic League, and a further edition or a later edition of our charter, model charter at least, suggested that these types of powers be better spelled out at the beginning of your charter, and especially the liberal construction that is provided under our state constitution. So that's what bore this out.
Are there any comments, any public input on this amendment, Charter Amendment A?
Question.
Yes,
I
Knudsen?
was listening carefully, City Attorney, but would you please say again, what part of this proposed ballot language did you say came from based on the Lincoln, Nebraska Charter and on the state constitution? What parts was which? I just got lost.
Commissioner Knudsen, it's every paragraph except for the last one is taken verbatim from the Lincoln, Nebraska City Charter. They are another home rule charter city. And what they clearly did was take a lot of the powers that are listed by other cities across the country, including what the model city charter is from the National Civic League. And then the final paragraph is from our state constitution on the liberal construction.
Thank you. Sorry, I was a little confused there.
No, I didn't spell it out. You're correct. I should have done better. Thanks.
Ms. Knudsen?
Chairwoman, another question I wondered is, would it be helpful, I realize it's several paragraphs, but again, for just as open a government as we can provide here, would it be helpful for those who are listening from home to have someone just quickly and read this for us?
Would you?
I'll do it. Amendment A, shall Section 1.01 be amended to read, the city shall have the right and power to exercise all municipal powers, functions, rights, privileges, and immunities of every name and nature whatsoever that it is possible for it to have at the present and in the future under the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, except as prohibited by the state constitution or restricted by this charter, and to exercise any powers which may be implied thereby, incidental thereto, or appropriate to the exercise of such powers, all powers possible for a city to have under the Constitution and laws of this state as fully and completely as though they were specifically enumerated in this charter. The city shall also have the right and power to exercise all municipal powers, functions, rights, privileges, and immunities of every name and nature whatsoever that now are or hereafter may be granted by the laws of the state of South Dakota to all cities or applicable to cities of the first class, provided that such laws are not inconsistent with this charter. The city shall have the right and power to make such ordinances, bylaws, rules, and regulations, except as prohibited by the state constitution or restricted by this charter, as may be necessary or expedient for maintaining the peace, good government, and welfare of the city, its trade, commerce, and manufacturing, and for preserving order, securing persons or property from violence, danger, and destruction, for protecting public and private property, for promoting the public health, safety, convenience, comfort, morals, and general interests and welfare of the inhabitants of the city, and to enforce all such ordinances by providing for the fine or imprisonment, or both the fine and imprisonment, of those convicted of violations thereof. All powers shall be exercised in the manner prescribed in this charter, or if not prescribed herein, in such manner, sorry, I noticed a typo, such manner as shall be provided by ordinance. Notwithstanding any other provisions of this charter, all powers may now and in the future be exercised outside the limits of the city to the extent permitted by law. The powers of the city under this charter shall be construed liberally in favor of the city, and the specific mention of particular powers in the charter shall not be construed as limiting in any way the general power granted in this article. Then the city attorney explanation is as follows. The proposed change, as approved and submitted by the Charter Revision Commission, would delineate all powers the City of Sioux Falls may legally exercise under the state constitution and laws. The language regarding liberally construing the city's powers is taken from the South Dakota Constitution, Article 9, Section 2. Then the voters are asked whether they want to adopt that amendment.
Okay. Could I have a motion on this amendment?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt Section 1.01 to be amended as the City Attorney just read it.
Okay. Could I have a second?
Timian, second.
Okay. Roll call.
Commission members Timian,
Yes.
Annenson,
Yes.
Gregerson,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Polides.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay. Charter Amendment B. Dave, would you like to read that?
Sure, Madam Chair. This is, just for a little background, if anyone missed it last time, this was a proposal by the city finance officer. It primarily combines sections 505 and 506 of the charter, which were somewhat redundant, and it changes somewhat the adoption of the appropriation ordinance, so it's only done once. It is, from what I understand, had widespread support. I'm not aware of any opposition to it. And I would add that the city attorney's explanation, there is something that remained on there, the last 2.5 lines, which I had deleted, but somehow they stayed in the final draft that was given to you folks. And if you go to the third line, where it says City Attorney's explanation of Amendment B, the third to the last line, where it starts, "Be consistent with publication of all other budgets." I put a period there, and then strike "which would streamline the overall budget process by establishing consistent publication requirements for budgets of all funds rather than waiting until December to publish budgets for the proprietary and trust funds." I think it's pretty clear what we're doing without having that additional explanation.
Okay, is there any public input on this amendment? Any discussion from, any comments from the commission or questions? Ms. Knutson?
I was wondering if, again, if it would be a little bit helpful to those following us to know just a little bit more on what would be the benefit of combining these two sections, and, more than what you just said, and also if it could, if the proposal could be read out loud.
May I?
Yes.
I think where the finance officer was trying to establish something, Commissioner Knutson, was he has to certify to the Minnehaha County Auditor by October 1st what the tax levy will be. And under the current system, we have a situation where the appropriation ordinance isn't passed until sometime in October, and that created a very murky situation, shall we say, for lack of a better word. And this just makes it so that by September 30th, we have that appropriation ordinance passed so that the city finance officer can follow state law and certify to the county auditor the tax levy for the upcoming year. That was the main focus of this this amendment.
Thank you.
And then I'll read if unless there's anything
That's
further. Shall sections 5.05C and D and 5.06 be amended to read, adoption. Under C, the City Council shall adopt the annual appropriation ordinance for appropriated funds for the ensuing fiscal year budget on or before the 30th day of September of the fiscal year currently ending. The annual appropriation ordinance shall make appropriations by fund and department or organizational unit. It is not necessary to appropriate funds to be expended from a proprietary or trust fund if the fund is not supported or subsidized by revenue derived from the annual appropriated tax levy. However, an annual budget for these funds shall be adopted by resolution on or before the 30th day of September of the fiscal year currently ending and published at the same time as publication of the annual appropriation ordinance. If the City Council fails to adopt the budget by this date, the budget proposed by the mayor shall go into effect. Part D, the City Council shall adopt any other ordinances required to authorize new revenues or to amend the rates or other features of existing taxes or other revenue sources. And then Section 5.06 is deleted in its entirety, and most of it has been incorporated into 505. And the City Attorney explanation, the proposed change, as approved and submitted by the Charter Revision Commission, would combine two somewhat redundant sections of the Charter into one section. It also would change the deadline for approval of the annual appropriation ordinance to September 30 of each year rather than October. State law requires the City Finance Director to certify the annual tax levy to the county auditor no later than October 1st. This results in a situation where the Finance Director must certify the annual tax levy to the county auditor before the tax levy has been established by the City Council. The proposed language change would rectify the situation by requiring the annual appropriation ordinance, including the tax levy, to be approved prior to October 1st, thereby allowing the Finance Director to comply with state law. The proposed change would also change the timing of publication of budgets for proprietary and trust funds to be consistent with publication of all other budgets, and then I'm recommending that the remainder be deleted, which states, which would streamline the overall budget process by establishing consistent publication requirements for budgets of all funds rather than waiting until December to publish budgets for the proprietary and trust funds.
Okay, any, Mr. Timian?
That was deleted in my version.
I was told it wasn't. I'm sorry.
Mine ended up on other budgets.
Oh, good, okay, never mind.
Okay, is there any discussion or question on this amendment?
Well, Timian, I guess the question is that this could put the council in a time crunch that they have to approve it by October 1st, but at the same time, the county is saying you need to certify the tax levy by October 1st. And so in the past, how has that been dealt with?
I think by guesswork, to put it bluntly.
And
that's not a situation we want to continue. And
so the budget wouldn't be approved, but the taxes would be certified. Okay.
it's a good situation to correct. That way we'll know for certain what the appropriations are, what the budget is, and so our finance director can comply with state law, certify to the auditor.
I think we have some councils here today. Is that, I guess I'd be interested to know if that October 1st is going to put them under undue duress to have their work completed in time to certify the taxes.
No, it should be fine. Thank you for the consideration, really. And it's really been an awkward moment in the past when we've been trying to guess this number and trying to predict it. I think this is a great change. It'll give us better information in that budget process. So we're not concerned, but thank you for the...
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor
Thanks.
Jameson. Okay, could I have a motion on...
I would-
Did you have another?
No, I would move that Charter Amendment B as presented be included on the ballot.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second, Annenson.
Okay, roll call.
Committee members Timian,
Yes.
Annenson,
Yes.
Gregerson,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Politis.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, now Charter Amendment C, and this is what we discussed in item A under old business.
Can I make a suggestion, Madam Chair? On this one, charter should be a flexible document. I think the best wording for this, if you take my recommendation to make the Board of Ethics have jurisdiction over the election ordinances for either candidates or elected officials, would be to take I highlight you to the area that's shaded or highlighted where you asked me to put some alternative language in there. I would simply strike out all the proposed additional language in the shading, which states 6.01C for current elected officials, or then it has in brackets, or 601C for any candidates for an elected city office, and merely have the amendment be the inclusion of the section itself, 6.01C. That way, you could have, the city council is already empowered to adopt ordinances for empowering the Board of Ethics to handle complaints and how they do it. This gives the council some flexibility in terms of, there could be a time where not only do you have candidates or maybe current elected officials, maybe at some point we're going to have to talk about lobbyists, or there might be some political action committees that may be subject to the election ordinances. This gives us a lot of flexibility, because otherwise, if we limit it to some specific group right now, we may come across a situation in this election or the next election where we go, wait a minute, we want to make sure that whatever bad situation doesn't happen again. And I think the proper way to do it would just be to amend the charter to only have the specific section itself. And 601C allows the council to adopt ordinances regarding the conduct of elections. I think it gives a little more flexibility that way. And from what groups I've talked to, both the Board of Ethics, City Council, I think there's Again, widespread support for this type of a change in jurisdiction. And again, for the public, it would place the policing of these activities in an independent citizen board rather than the city attorney's office or anyone else that's currently a public official.
Mr. Timian?
If a question there, then how would that change the city's attorney explanation for Amendment C? Would it just put in?
I would need to change, that would be my next step, to recommend that to Mr. Timian,
Okay.
yes. Yep. And what I would recommend on that is, you see the shaded language on that, under the city attorney's explanation, where it talks about, just before that, the jurisdiction to hear any complaints about, maybe cut out, delete that shaded language, and have any possible violations of law for conduct related to municipal elections. So change your shaded language to be any possible violations of law for conduct related to municipal elections.
Okay.
And currently, is municipal elections the title of 601?
That's the charter section that talks about conduct of elections, and then chapter 14 of the ordinances is where the council's adopted ordinances for governing the conduct of elections.
On mine, it's city. It is city elections versus municipal elections.
In which are you referring to? Sorry.
I thought it was the current charter. That 601 was titled city elections.
I see where you're going, and I think, yeah, just change municipal elections to city elections
Okay.
under the attorney explanation.
Okay.
Good catch, thank you.
Thank you.
Something that would be interchangeable, but very good catch, thank you.
Well,
Yep,
my guess was that we were trying to match the heading
exactly.
that's in the charter.
So what is your suggestion for the wording of the amendment itself?
Madam Chair, take out all the shaded language
Okay?
and only leave in the specific section site itself, 6.01C, as in cat, comma, then you have and 7.02.
Okay. Is there any public input on this suggested change? Mr. Timian?
Sorry about not following this so well. So how would the attorney's explanation be?
It would change to, where the shaded language is, would be deleted, and it would read, any possible violations of law for conduct, just reading it on then, conduct related to, and then, thank you for your catch again, strike out municipal and put in city elections, removing jurisdiction from such complaints that is currently with the city attorney.
Okay. I had the city elections going in where the shaded was, and it said if they had any complaints about city elections, could have a different meaning. So, thank you. Now I understand.
The purpose is to have it understood by anyone, and by all means, I want to make sure it's very understandable, and I welcome any suggestions. Thank you.
Ken, could you read the whole thing?
If we're ready.
Ready?
Amendment C. Shall Section 7.01B be amended to read, Section 7.01 Conflicts of Interest, Board of Ethics. Part B, Board of Ethics. City Council shall, by ordinance, establish an independent Board of Ethics to administer and enforce violations of the conflict of interest and financial disclosure ordinances, as well as determine violations of Sections 2.05A and B. The amendment would be adding Section 6.01C, comma, and then reading onward, and 7.02A, 3, 4, and 5 of this charter and related ordinances. No member of the board may hold elective or appointed office under the city or any other government or hold any political party office. Insofar as possible under state law, the City Council shall authorize the board to issue binding advisory opinions, conduct investigations on its own initiative, and on referral or complaint, refer cases for prosecution, impose administrative fines, and to hire independent counsel. The City Council shall appropriate sufficient funds to the Board of Ethics to enable it to perform the duties assigned to it. Again, the only amendment there would be adding the one section, that's 6.01C. Here is the city attorney explanation. The proposed change, as approved and submitted by the Charter Revision Commission, would grant the Sioux Falls Board of Ethics the jurisdiction to hear any complaints about any possible violations of law for conduct related to city elections, removing jurisdiction from such complaints that is currently with the city attorney. Then it asks the voters, shall Amendment C be adopted?
Okay, any? Sue Roust?
When you read the city attorney's explanation, you included that wording about as proposed by the Charter Revision Commission that had been removed.
I'm sorry, I'm reading off. I mixed up my prior versions. I apologize. That part was removed. Thank you, Clerk Rouse. Good catch.
Okay, any input? Any discussion from the commission? Mr. Timian?
I would make a motion to add Charter Amendment C to the ballot, as has been presented with the 601C and the revised city attorney's explanation.
I second that motion. Knutson?
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commission members Timian,
Yes.
Annenson,
Yes.
Gregerson,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Politis.
Yes. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, one housekeeping item, if I may.
Yes.
On Section 101, the second to last paragraph, I did notice a typo that I'll take credit or blame for, where it says, all powers shall be exercised in the manner prescribed. Should be with a D, prescribed, the past tense. I apologize. My fellow English major, Commissioner Knutson, knows that pains us English majors. May I have the Commission's authority to revise that so we would make it past tense to conform, to have good parallelism?
I so move. Knutson?
Second, Timian.
Could I request that you make that authorization just a little more general? As I've been sitting here, I've found 3 typos so far, counting that one. And I read this before too, so it's not just you. But I'm afraid that we may not have located all of them. There's a place where there's an extra period and a place where there's a comma that shouldn't be. If you could just give authority for us to correct purely typographical errors before the ballot is printed, I think that might be a good thing to do.
I so move. Knutson?
It's a common thing we do, too.
Was there a second motion already? Or,
Is it
Substitute
Making
motion.
a substitute motion?
Make a substitute
Oh, okay,
motion.
a substitute motion. Okay, yes, I would like to make a substitute motion to allow the staff, city attorney staff, to just read through one more time and make any kinds of corrections as far as punctuation, spelling, et cetera, need to be done. Just one more reading of all these proposals.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Timian.
Roll call. Roll call.
Commission members Timian?
Yes.
Annenson?
Yes.
Gregerson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Politis?
Yes, motion carries. Now on to C, consideration of the summary report prior to April 10th, 2012 ballot proposals.
This is a draft of a report. What is done has been that the commission has given a report to the city council that accompanies, the ballot proposals, and I frankly just modeled it after the report that was done by the last fourth Charter Revision Commission back in 2010. Again, as this was done on Friday night, I'm afraid my lack of perfect editing skills is being shown up again, and I would point you out that a few of these items I left in here just for discussion purposes so we wouldn't forget to discuss them, but I know historically we've given a actual report to the city council at like an informational meeting. I leave it up to you folks if you want to do that. There's no legal requirement that you do so. It's simply up to this commission how they want to handle that. Certainly we've had excellent city councilor participation throughout these meetings. I think they're pretty well aware of what's going on, and the final three amendments that are going to go onto the ballot I think have been explained very well, but again, it's up to you if you want to submit both a report and an oral report to the council at perhaps an informational meeting, and I leave it up to you. But on the actual draft of the report, a few of the wordings will obviously have to be changed. Second page, the top, the first line, it should read, advance 3 proposed measures which, following delivery and filing with the, should take out city council and, it should just be with the city clerk, will be presented to the public for further consideration and ultimately to be voted on by voters. And obviously I left in it kind of vague in terms of how we were going to handle the Board of Ethics and what the jurisdiction was going to be, so that other change would need to be in that second to last paragraph on page 2. Starts with the last proposal will expand the jurisdiction of the Sioux Falls Board of Ethics to hear complaints regarding, then I obviously maybe delete candidates for elected city office and current elected officials on, and just put in to hear complaints regarding conduct related to municipal elections as directed by the city ordinances. Oh. I want to thank Councilor Rolfing. He caught it again. I used municipal instead of city elections. Thank you. So delete the third to the last line in the second to last paragraph, page 2, where it starts candidates for elected city office and current elected officials on, and then the last word on the second to last line of the second to last paragraph, from municipal to city elections.
Dave, would you mind reading this report for people who are watching?
Sure. It's from the Charter Revision Commission. It's a summary report prior to April 10, 2012 ballot proposals. The 5th Sioux Falls Charter Revision Commission, appointed in October 2011 by the mayor with the advice and consent of the City Council, has conducted 5 public meetings since November 2011 in order to assist them in preparing a report of proposed revisions to the city's charter in 2012. The Commission is prepared to deliver the proposed revisions to city election authorities for placement on the upcoming April 10, 2012 ballot. During the course of their public meetings, the Charter Revision Commission considered various charter revision proposals brought forward by city departments, council members, Charter Revision Commission members, and/or citizens. After review and discussion about the various proposals, the Commission decided that some of the issues which were raised warranted further review and were therefore either withdrawn or taken under advisement for further research and discussion by the Commission following the upcoming election. After discussion and debate, the Commission affirmatively voted to advance 3 proposed measures which, following delivery and filing with the, and with the recommended change, with filing with the city clerk, will be presented to the public for further consideration and ultimately to be voted on by city voters. One proposed revision will further delineate the powers of the city under its charter consistent with the South Dakota Constitution. Another proposed revision will combine 2 somewhat redundant sections of the charter relating to the publication and passage of the city's annual appropriation ordinance. The last proposal will expand the jurisdiction of the Sioux Falls Board of Ethics to hear complaints regarding, and it would delete candidates for elected city office and current elected officials on, and then state, hear complaints regarding conduct related to city elections as directed by the city ordinances. Each of these proposed revisions will be presented in the form of charter amendments to city voters for their consideration in the upcoming city election. City voters have previously voted revisions to the city charter in 1996, 2000, 2004, 2008, and 2010. The city's charter is the broad governing document for the conduct of local municipal government in Sioux Falls.
Okay. Is there any input on this report? Any discussion with the commission? Ms. Knudsen?
Madam Chair and other commissioners, I think it would be very appropriate for our chairperson and vice chair or any of the other members that are available to go in person before the city council and just formally present our report. And I really appreciate their great participation and attendance at our meetings, but I think it's another opportunity for people who are attending the city council meeting that night and listening to it via Channel 16 to just learn more about the charter revision process. And so in other words, I don't think that we're going to teach any of the city councilors anything new at all because they are well informed, but I think it would be good. And I watched the informational meeting yesterday via Channel 16, and I believe that the City Council would like that report on February 13th, which I bet our very capable interim city clerk will tell us.
And
You
the
were
city
right.
clerk, Rouse, has already...
I was watching. You do a nice job always.
She has
I made a
already extended an
Yeah.
invitation for the 13th at 4 o'clock.
4 p.m. At the request of the city council. The
And I
report needs to be submitted, or the ballot language needs to be submitted to the city clerk's office by February 10th.
Yes.
But we've missed the deadline to appear next Monday. I still think it's just as valuable to appear on February 13th, 4 p.m. right here. So any of you who would be available would certainly be welcome to be here and make your comments as well.
Thank you. Okay, any discussion on this report?
I would move that we go forward with this report and submit it. We submit the report and the ballot language so that both are done prior to the February 10th deadline.
Okay, do I have a second?
Annetson, second.
Okay.
Just
Any
for point of
discussion?
clarification, would that motion then be that the report be as
amended?
As amended? Thank you. Thank you.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commission members Timian?
Yes.
Annenson?
Yes.
Gregerson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Politis?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, on to new business.
Madam Chair, the only thing I would maybe recommend at this time is just to inform the public kind of, certainly I know in talking with some of you, you've talked about having maybe bi-monthly meetings and just kind of have a discussion of how you plan to go with this proceeding onward, and so the public has an idea of what's coming in the future and so forth.
Are there any, perhaps setting up the next meeting might be a good first step. Ms. Knutson?
Madam Chair, just to get this discussion started on that, I think this would be a great idea to at least tentatively set a date as close as we can to our lives and our crazy schedules. And I think it would be good to, start maybe at least by August or September and have at least 5 meetings. And I'm thinking, if December gets to be kind of hectic for everyone, but I don't mean just commissioners, I mean the whole public and city councilors and whatever, but anyway, I'm ready to set a date, and again, I think fall wouldn't be a bad time to start again unless we need to start sooner than that, I don't know.
Mr. Timian?
I guess if I could, with that much lead time, it'd be nice if we could just do some looking at calendars, how we could do that and come up with it. But I think if we were to look at a September and a November meetings for now, as to where we could go forward from there, and but I don't know if we need to set that today. But I think if we could shoot for scheduling something in September, but let's take a look at calendars as to how that's going to go.
Dave?
I want to thank Tamara for her good suggestion. She thinks you probably need to have one meeting before the election just to approve the minutes. As you can guess, we just did not have time to get a draft of the minutes, and that way, that could be a very short meeting, 15 minutes even, and certainly you could, if you folks are out of town, you could attend by phone or what have you, but that, just a 15-minute meeting, we could approve minutes, and then you could bring your calendars and you can start talking about the rest of the year, and maybe have that like in March or something, and then give yourselves several months of leeway in terms of how you want to handle the rest of the year.
Would you,
Ms. Knutson?
excuse me, Madam Chair, I was wondering, City Attorney, about when, and Tamara, and thank you, Tamara, for your many hours you spent with us during this project. Very important project, I might add. Is that I was just wondering about when would the minutes be ready? I mean, I'm ready to have that meeting whenever they're ready.
About 2 weeks, Tamara believes.
Okay. Could, yeah.
I would suggest March. I think just to give Tamara enough time. It's going to be a very hectic schedule for a while for the clerk's office, and to prepare those minutes, I'd love to give her as much time as possible.
I have a little different view than you do. We will be approving printing the ballot on or about March 1st. I would really like to have those minutes approved so that your actions are completely documented before we give the go-ahead to print ballots. And so I would prefer that that meeting be before the end of February. It can be close to the end of February, but please don't approve your actions after the ballots are already printed.
Okay. How does February 24th look for people? It's a Friday.
I think that date works fine for me.
That's fine for me.
I believe that's okay for me.
Okay, Dick, the 24th?
Of what?
February?
It's a Friday.
Friday?
Hold on. What? I'm having a hard time here. What month?
February 24th.
February
It's
24th?
Friday.
Okay, let me check here and see if that. Oh, just 1 minute, please. Well, I don't know if I can make it or not. The legislature meets that day,
Would you be
February 24th.
available for call-in?
It could
I
be.
guess so. It isn't the best to really have a hard time here, and particularly, public input. But What time, maybe I can get out of here early, but there's no way I can predict that now. What time would you set it at?
3:30?
Okay. Well, I'll just, I'll try to make my, if I can't, then I'd have to make some other arrangements, so. Go ahead.
Dick, mainly it would be just calling in and voting on the minutes.
Well, yeah, we could handle that.
Okay, the 24th, Ms. Knutson?
I was just wondering again, I mean, if there's a day that, before that the legislature is not meeting that, that Mr. Gregerson could be here, I mean, I'm very flexible. I mean, if I'm gone, and I am going to be gone some in the next month, I mean, I'll just call in, but I'm just saying if he prefers to be here in person, I don't care what day you meet.
Dick, would how about the 17th?
17th, yeah, they don't meet on the 17th.
Dennis, you cannot?
No, I'm out of town on the
Okay.
17th. I could probably call in.
Okay, Dee, would you be available?
Yeah, I mean, I'll either be available in person or by phone, and sorry I didn't bring my calendar with me, but I am traveling some in February, but I will call in on time if I'm not here.
Okay, Bob?
Yeah. Good.
That's fine with me.
The 17th?
Yeah, 17th at 3:30.
I will have to check on phone logistics. I think we checked in once, if memory serves, that we could get 2 in, but I'm not sure about 3. So, but again, you're only approving minutes and discussing calendaring, so not all 5 of you would have to be here for that. It's just more of a housekeeping matter to approve your minutes, so.
Okay.
But we'll do the best we can.
Okay, is there any other new business? Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the Charter Revision Commission meeting. Knutson.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Yes, thank you.
Bye, Dick. That's it.